Hey guys, just finished watching Arrow Season 7, Episode 9, Elseworlds Part 2. Oh my god, I love this crossover. I can't wait for this crossover is so good. There's so much going on in here. There's even setting up for the next crossover, and that's really going to be cool to see as to where things go with that. So we start off this episode. We get the intro, the classic, Green Arrow intro, but we have Grant Gustin in all these scenes. They actually refilmed a lot of the scenes, a lot of the previously on Arrow type thing, and I'm no longer Arrow. I was inmate 4587, and all that stuff. It's weird that they did that for this show, for Arrow, yet they didn't do that on Flash. Last episode of The Flash, we had Grant Gustin doing his normal intro, right? Whereas here we have Grant Gustin doing the Arrow intro. Now, I don't know why they didn't do, we've already seen at that point for this crossover, we knew that it was going to be the body swap was going to be the main part of the crossover. We had already seen that they put out that poster early on in the process, right? But for this, it was kind of weird in seeing this. I guess just because we already know about if you're watching this, you're part 2 right in the middle of it, you already know that the body swap was happening. But I don't know, I would have had Oliver doing have Stephen Amell doing the Flash intro and having him as Barry Allen doing that and seeing how that works, I think that would have been interesting. Or what I would have done is kind of have him wake up, oh, you're Barry, and have that full scene beforehand and then put the intro afterwards, rather than starting, right away in the intro. Make the intro after the reveal, where Iris says, calls Stephen Amell Barry, right? And I think that would have been the way I would have done it. But so it was really cool seeing here. We open up the episode, we see Diggle is fighting Deathstroke's son and stuff, so that's really cool. Kind of makes me want to go back and remember where exactly is that character. Is he still alive? How much is really kind of going on? Because we do see some characters kind of return, some actors returning, but some of the ones that are actually dead in the current continuity are actually kind of just hallucinations and stuff. So I think that was kind of interesting. So it'd be cool to see if, is rewriting history, but could our Laurel come back for this show? I think could be interesting. We haven't seen anything like that, so we'll have to wait and see as to where things are going to go there. So we see Diggle fighting Deathstroke's son. That's really cool. We see Oliver ends up keeps a body swap from Felicity. So Stephen Amell Oliver doesn't want Felicity to know about the body swap, but that kind of gets dropped early on when Cisco drops the ball on that one, or at least the Flash team is not told about it. So that was kind of interesting thing. Another thing that he's kind of keeping from her, trying to mess with her and stuff. So I think that was kind of interesting to see how things are going to go with that. We see Oliver doesn't believe in Batman, so that was really cool. The Batman he thinks it's just a myth that the GCPD created to kind of scare the criminals of Gotham, right? So I think that was really cool. And we see the three get arrested. The three being Green Arrow, Supergirl, and the Flash. They get arrested, and Kate Kane ends up bailing them out of jail, so that was really cool. She revealed that she's kind of cousin to Bruce Wayne and stuff, and that was really cool seeing that. Even at the end of the episode, Supergirl ends up kind of x-raying her and seeing her secret identity and stuff, and she figures out that she's kind of, she's Carol Danvers and stuff, so that was kind of okay. That was kind of cool. And then we see the 90s Flash, John Wesley Shipp's Flash, trying to come across throughout the episode, trying to warn them about the book. And then they go to Arkham type thing, and that was really cool. Right at Arkham, and they that's when we see there's all kinds of stuff happen. We see Nora Allen as we see all kinds of people. We see Nora Freeze and stuff. That was really cool, having Stephen Amell's wife as Nora Freeze versus Killer Frost. That was really cool. It's only a very small scene. It was probably on not even a full day. It was very short, but it was really cool seeing that. And hopefully, when everything's said and done, she can stay as Nora Freeze, and we can get that more through here and there. Maybe she stays on the Batgirl show or something like that. She could be a recurring villain on there or something. That could be really fun to see as to kind of where things go with her, because it would be really fun to see Stephen Amell's wife actually around the show, and I think it would be really kind of fun to play with that. To see as kind of how things could go with that, and maybe even having her as a villain every now and then on Arrow could be kind of fun there. Assumingly we keep Gotham as on Earth 1, and so far it looks like we are. I think that could be really cool. So we see Barry and Oliver kind of fighting each other, but they're fighting each other's demons. And we see John Barrowman returns for this episode, and he's kind of at first he's just kind of hallucinations and stuff. And then we see him later on at the end of the episode when we see him as a police officer with Diaz when reality gets reset again. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So it's cool seeing them kind of dealing with each other's issues, or they're fighting each other's demons, and they're realizing how much each other really is going on. I mean, Stephen Amell, his Oliver is kind of, didn't realize how, thought, Barry over in Central City have it really easy because he's fighting colorful super villains, and he's fighting his powers to help him with things, and everyone who loves him, right, and all that stuff. People giving him the key to the city and everything. And then he ends up having to fight the Reverse Flashy Barthon. Yet the person who killed his mother, now he's kind of feeling that. So I think that's going to be cool to kind of play with that a little bit more. I mean, we only have one more episode to find out, are they, when they're hallucinating, they're seeing these stuffs, are they feeling the emotional things that the other person would feel, even though it's kind of, it's Oliver Queen in the driver's seat for Barry, it's Barry in the driver's seat for Oliver Queen. Are they feeling each other's emotions, So if something happens to Iris, and Stephen Amell is playing Barry, does his Barry, playing Oliver, who's playing Barry, does he kind of feel the emotions with that? When he's seeing, the Reverse Flash, is he feeling those emotions of his mother, and the emotion he felt when he went back in time and saw his mother and got to talk to her a little bit and then had to let her go, right? I think those would really be cool, getting the wave of emotions and stuff. I think that looks like they were kind of doing with that, and they're fighting each other's emotions, and I kind of like doing that. It was only like one scene, but all the subcontext in that scene, which is so well done, so perfectly well written, it was just amazing. So we see the 90s Flash shows up. We see John with the ship shows up and tells them about the monitor and how he's kind of testing them for the crisis. So that's really cool, setting up the crisis on Infinite Earth. We've had that tease since the beginning of the Flash with, the Barry Allen disappears in Crisis, right? He famously dies in Crisis on Infinite Earth. If I'm not mistaken, Crisis on Infinite Earth issue 8, he dies, and then we also have the death of Supergirl in Crisis issue 7, right? So I think that's really going to be cool. We already got that nod when we first had Tyler Hoechlin's Superman on Supergirl. They did that poster, right? That classic pose. But I think it's really cool setting that up, and I would love to see that being set up as next year's crossover, and that we can bring Supergirl and have her Central City get ripped out of Earth 38 and dropped into Earth 1. That way we can have everyone, Superman, Supergirl, Green Arrow, Batwoman, Flash, everyone on one Earth, and everything that happens is all there, and then supporting cast members could then join and jump from episode to episode, either show, right? I think it'd be really cool to see someone like Brainiac 5 right now on Supergirl joining Arrow. How that would be such a shift, having him on there for an episode. It would be really interesting to see the dynamic, or Brainiac 5 and joining the Flash. What would his interaction be with Cisco, or his interaction with Felicity and different things. I mean, getting all that, I think it could be really cool to seeing that. And then also you can have someone like James Olsen, who's Guardian, could go over to Arrow and actually have get some training from Oliver, because he desperately needs to actually know how to kind of train and stuff. And I think that could be really cool to kind of see that, to see who gets some actual training there. Even if it's just kind of on the weekends here and there, we get one really scene just saying that, oh yeah, he goes over and that's where he goes over to train, getting some upgrades from Cisco and different little bit of everything, and having those little crossovers. Some of the these crossovers are awesome, but they just can only do these once a season, right? Because it's so complicated to film and so convoluted, but it's awesome. But the things that really make everything perfect with these shows that compete with the movies, is the little crossovers, like when when we have John Diggle going over to the Flash to help with bringing Argus over to help take down King Shark. Those things are perfect. Those things are really great. It's really fun seeing things when they have problems to get it to go over in one show. I think it's really fun seeing as to how things go with those things. So hopefully we can set up that for the next crossover. I think it could really be fun. It's really testing that whole crisis here, and I think it could be really interesting to see as to where things go with that. So we see we see the 90s Flash even looks at John Diggle and he goes, "Oh, you're not wearing your ring. I guess this Earth is different." And obviously we're first seeing the Green Lantern ring, and I think that's really cool because we've been, the fans have been hoping that he would turn out to be a Green Lantern ever since we first met John Diggle in season 1 of Arrow and stuff, and I think that was really going to be cool. Maybe we can do something like that in a Crisis on Infinite Earth. So something happens where reality has changed and he becomes a Green Lantern. I think if they ever get the okay to use Green Lantern, I don't know if he would ever work on these CW shows just because he's such a heavy, a CGI heavy character. But we'll have to wait and see as to where things go with that. I don't know if I really would want to see that. I mean, I'd love to see John Diggle as a Green Lantern, but I don't think it would really work. He's so integral to the Arrow cast that, he couldn't spin off into his own show and become a Green Lantern show. That would not work. And yet, if you give him the Green Lantern ring, it's such a, the problems with these shows is that even with, Vixen over on Legend of Tomorrow, she only ever turns into a very 3 or 4 characters throughout the whole season and ever. She only ever uses certain animals, even though she has all the animal kingdom to choose from. She constantly is stuck with a certain amount of animals because that's what they have on file and that's all they want to use, right? It's annoying, even so far. It's really early on to tell, but Beast Boy on Teen Titans, he only ever turns into 1 or 2, one animal so far. So I think the idea of having him, John Diggle, becoming a Green Lantern is unlikely, just because he'd only ever have one thing that he'd do all the time. He would only ever have one big punch. Is that you never really would see. You rarely would be able to see him completely Green Arrow-ified. But we'll have to wait and see as to where things go. Now, who knows? We could get a one-episode one-off where he puts on a Green Lantern ring by the end of this show. But I don't see him going anywhere with that, but who knows? It would be really cool to see that. One thing though is disappointed is that we see John with a ship. We get that the picture of the 4 of them going, walking in Central City and stuff, and they're walking after to the monitor, and he just snaps his fingers and John with his ship's 90s Flash just disappears. So that's kind of disappointing. It's like, why are you getting rid of him? Hopefully we have him throughout the whole next episode, because if we don't have him and that's all we got with him, I'm really going to be disappointed. All that hype and revealing it early on. They posted it online or on their Instagram early on before any trailers came out as they were filming. So why would they do that if he's if that's all we got? It was just that little bit and the teaser we had last week all during the end of the episode. So that would be kind of disappointing. And if we don't have any more of Ruby Rose's Batgirl, if all we got is this episode, it would be okay, but that would be really disappointing at the same time. Only one episode worth of her. Now, I know we have a lot to deal with, but I would like to see her kind of involved playing with this and her seeing as to where things going with that. I think it'd be really fun to see there. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see as to how things go with this. I really hope we get to see more of I'd like to see John with the ship's 90s flashback all in the next episode. I'd like to see, Kate Kane, Batwoman, all in the next episode. Hopefully we can see that. I think that would be really fun to see as to where things could go with that. Maybe she could be a different person or a different type of Batwoman, with this, or all this with reality reset a second time now. Maybe she's now affected too, maybe she's, instead of Kate Kane, maybe she's Kathy Kane, right? The original, which is a different character. One of them was created recently in 2009, if I'm not mistaken. One of them was recently created. I think actually right here are the episodes. We have here. Yes. We have right here. Yes. In 2000. 2011, if I'm not mistaken. July 19th, 2006. Wow, over 10 years. She's only 10 years, just about 10 years old, this character. So I think that's really interesting. So this is the first appearance of Kate Kane, Batwoman, who Ruby Rose plays. But I think with this reality set, she plays the 60s Kathy Kane, which is a completely different character, if I'm not mistaken. First appeared in like the 60s, early 50s, or something like that. Really early character. Classic cover where she's kind of riding the motorcycle. She's all yellow. She has the satchel and everything, yellow and red, I think. And I think that I think even Batmite's on the cover or something like that. So I think that it could be interesting to see if she plays that just for one episode. Although I think that would be a bit much. But they're doing a lot here in this episode. So if they just want to set her up, then I could see, them doing something like that. Who knows? I think it'd be really fun to see as to where things could go with this. Maybe some things get changed or something. Who knows? I hope that we get to see more of her. If not, I'd be okay with it. But I'd need to see a lot more of John Wesley Shipp's 90s Flash. I'd like to see more of that, and I think that would be really cool. And more of seeing that, especially with the whole fact that it's John Wesley Shipp playing it. He played Henry Allen. He played Jay Garrick. That would be so messed up. Everyone was kind of like seeing Grant Gustin's face when as Barry, as Oliver, playing that and going, Jay? And like, no, I'm Barry Allen. Henry Allen? No, Barry Allen, right? And I think that was really cool. I think to play more with that and just kind of, maybe getting into that and seeing them actually have some lines together and diving into the relationship, having a whole episode of with John Wesley Shipp's Barry Allen, I think could be really cool. So hopefully, maybe if we don't get him in the next episode, maybe they have an episode coming up with the Flash where we could have John Wesley Shipp's Barry meeting Barry Allen, the regular Barry Allen. I think that could be really cool. It doesn't sound like it because some of the interviews and the things that I've seen Grant Gustin talking about is that he felt really jealous, obviously, of seeing Stephen Amell in his his Flash costume next to John Wesley Shipp in his OG Flash costume. So I think that's probably not going to happen, but who knows? I think once everything is reset after the next episode, we'll have to wait and see as to how things come out. And it looks like in this episode things are changed again, and we see John Barrowman is a police officer, Diaz is a police officer, and I think we see Slade Wilson's son is a police officer who arrests Barry and Oliver, and they're in some sort of motorcycle gang outfit. It looks like Oliver has his skills back, like his combat, his hand-to-hand combat, yet Barry doesn't have his speed, or no one has the speed. So I think that's going to be cool to see where things go with that. Where did Supergirl go in the change? And then we do see that there's a dark Superman, so maybe there's some sort of underman type thing, or overman taking who's kind of running it. I think that's really going to be cool to seeing two Tyler Eklunds going at it. I think that'll be cool to see as to where things could go with that. And like I said, I'd love to see John Wesley Shipp's Barry Allen back, and hopefully we get to see a lot more of him in there. So all in all, I really can't wait to see as to where things go with this. I think it would be really fun to see as to how things kind of continue. And again, teasing that there's going to be a crisis in Infinite Earth, and that needs to be maybe the next crossover. I think that could be really fun to see as to where things could go with that, and see how, like I said, bringing Supergirl and everyone being on one Earth so that everyone could cross over. You could have the little crossovers where supporting cast members just go over. Just Cisco could go over to Supergirl, and just anyone, heck, Tess Mercer, or Lena Luthor could go over to Star City for some reason. I think it could be really cool, and kind of seeing different characters like that bouncing around could be really fun to see and fun to play with. So I definitely can't wait to see as to where things go with that. And if they do that, the one problem is, then you have Superman and Supergirl all in one Earth. It's like, why don't you just ask them all the time for different things? But so you constantly have to have, like Superman just, he's off planet visiting Argo City, visiting this, So if they do that and they bring people over, what happens to characters like, Tyler Heckler's Superman comes over. Imagine does Erica Durance's Laura, maybe she comes over somehow too. Definitely need to bring over the Danvers, Eliza Danvers and Jeremiah Danvers. Bring those over too. And I think it would just be cool to have all of Supergirl shows on one Earth, so that supporting characters could mix up. And then we could get a crossover or an episode with all the OG, the legacy casting: John Wesley Shipp, Dean Cain, Helen Slater, Linda Carter, I think that would be really cool, and having all of those characters, all those people in one episode would be really would be kind of legacy overload, but it would be amazing, and I think that could be a fun thing to do. And maybe they could do that for the Crisis or something. Who knows? It would be fun to see those things too. But if they're setting up now the next crossover, that could be so awesome. So we'll have to wait and see as to where things go with this. I definitely can't wait to see as to kind of what the ramifications are. Since this is the mid-season final for all 3 shows, you know, the cliffhanger in the next episode is going to be the thing that kind of brings us into the new year. So I think that's really going to be fun to see as to what that is and what is permanently changed for the best, you know. And I think that's really going to be cool to see, you know, how is that also going to affect Legends? You know, if they ever come back and go, whoa, what's going on? How is that going to affect them too? Hopefully there's a little bit of change, I think. I think it could be really interesting, especially since if you're watching Legends tomorrow, there still is that kind of Time Bureau in 2018 stuff going on. So they should have an idea as to how things are going. So who knows? We'll have to wait and see as to where things kind of affect that in the long run. But I don't think we'll see that until a few more episodes. So we'll have to wait and see as to where things go with this, but it looks like the next episode is going to be really interesting, and I definitely can't wait to see as to where things go with this. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below. Where do you think things are going to go? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Sometimes
Subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.